Gavel is a lot of fun. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The time is 7 o'clock on the dot. Justin, can you please take attendance?
Joe Abdella, Greg Kava, Vicky Salon, Stephanie Kolnick, Angela Maciarulo, Alex McNaughton, Justin Ongley, Jennifer Pody, here, Jane Sargent, Pete Tagley, Mary Weber, Christine Wade.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to take this time for public comment on any of the agenda items. Is there anybody who would like to get up and speak? It's a full house. Last chance. Okay. I think so far this must be our most fun meeting, I think, with all of the packed house. So I'm so happy to see so many familiar faces. So welcome, everyone. And Mr. Parachi, calling you up to honor the Fall 2024 First Team All-State and First Team Berkshire League All-Stars athletes and state championship coaches.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Pody. We would like to thank the Board of Ed for giving us this opportunity to recognize our All-Stars and our state championship teams. It's been a real good fall for Chapaugue's teams, and I can't think of a more fitting way to end the fall season as we begin the winter season. What I'd like to do is first recognize our All-Stars, and I'd like to do that by sport. So if I could have our 3 cross-country All-Stars come on right up here, we're going to recognize them first. First, I would like to talk about this young lady right next to me, Lily Cassini. Lily is a 9th grader. She was 3rd at the Berkshire League Championships this year with a time of 21:06. She was 6th in the Class S State Championship meet with a time of 20:42. At the State Opens, she was 37th with a time of 20:34, which, for those of you who are keeping track, and we do keep track of these things, is the 3rd fastest time a Chapaugue girls cross-country runner has ever run. So that's quite an accomplishment. And because of the success that she had in both the Berkshire League Championship meet and in the Class S State Championship meet, Lily was honored as both a Berkshire League All-Star and Class S All-State cross-country runner. So, ladies and gentlemen, Lily Cassini. Next, we have Tommy Dorman. We're going to skip over Vienna. Next, we have Tommy, because if I go out of order here, I'll lose my place. Tommy's a junior. At the Berkshire League Championships, Tommy finished 5th out of 49 Berkshire League varsity runners. He had a time of 17:47. At the Class S State Championship meet, he finished 13th out of 158 with a time of 17:52, and he missed qualifying for the State Opens by 5 seconds, which we know what his goal is going to be for next year. And based on his performance at the championship meet, Tom Dorman was a Berkshire League All-Star. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Dorman. Last but certainly not least, in our 9th grade class, we have Vienna Carew. Vienna was 8th at the Berkshire League Championships. She ran a time of 21:55. At the Class S State Championships, she was 19th. She had a time of 22:31. And because of her great performance at the Berkshire League Championship meet, Vienna was a Berkshire League All-Star in cross country. So, ladies and gentlemen, Vienna Carew. Thank you, you guys. Thank you to our cross country runners. We're now going to move on to golf. We have 3 golfers that are Berkshire League All-Stars. However, today is the first day of winter practice for ice hockey and basketball. And of all the All-Stars that we honor here tonight, 3 of them are ice hockey players, and they are all at the gunnery right now with their first practice. So I'm going to call up Gavin. Come on up. Gavin is our lone non-ice hockey golfer. I'm going to go over the 2 gentlemen who are not here. I'd like to honor them even though they're not here tonight. We'll talk about Peyton Thomas. Peyton shot an 81 at the state tournament, and that placed him in the top 25. And one of the things, I just want to explain how golf works, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know how high school golf in Connecticut works. There's actually 2 seasons, and you may choose which season that you're going to compete in. You can compete in the fall, or you can compete in the spring. Most of the schools in the state compete in the fall. It's probably about, I'm just coming up with a stat out of thin air, but it's like 60% in the fall, 40% in the spring. And there's 2 divisions in the state tournament. So it's tough to qualify for the state tournament, and it's tough to perform well for the state tournament in golf because you're against some really, really heavy competition. So with that all being said, at the Division II state tournament, Peyton Thomas shot an 81, which put him in the top 25. At the Chapa Invitational, now the Chapa Invitational is a 2-man tournament, so you play in a 2-man team. Out of 58 2-man teams, along with his Chippewa teammate, Wyatt Ongley, Peyton tied for 20th overall. Peyton earned medalist honors against Brookfield. He shot a career best 2 over par 37. That was at Lake Warmog Country Club. Peyton had a 42 stroke league scoring average. 3 times this year, he broke 40. And for his efforts, Peyton was a Berkshire League All-Star. So even though he's absent, I'd like to get a round of applause for Peyton Thomas. Now, our other golfer who's an ice hockey player, Miles Wilson. Miles shot 82 at the state tournament, which put him in the top half of the field. He tied for 8th at the Chapa with this guy here, Gavin, on a 2-man team together out of 58 2-man teams, tied for 8th at the Chapa tournament. Against Nonawag, Miles shot a career best 39. He had a 41.5 league scoring average. He shot 40 or lower 3 times this year. And in his absence, I would like to offer a round of applause for Berkshire League All-Star, Miles Wilson. Now to the golfer standing right next to me, Mr. Gavin Giroux. Gavin successfully defended his Berkshire League tournament title. He won it last year as a junior, and he won it again this year as a senior. He tied for 2nd at the CIAC state tournament. And as I told you before, it's 2 classes, that's a big deal. He shot an even par 71. Gavin qualified for the New England tournament, which is a huge accomplishment. And at the New England tournament, he tied for the 3rd best score with another even par 71. As I mentioned before, when I talked about Miles, tied for 8th at the Chapa tournament. This year, Gavin posted a 37.7 league scoring average. Gavin was a Berkshire League All-Star his freshman year, his sophomore year, his junior year, and his senior year. And this year, as a senior, Gavin earned all-state recognition. So congratulations to Gavin Giroux. I would now like to call up our 3 soccer players. If you could come up here, please. Okay. First, I'd like to talk about James Kirsten. James was our center back this year. James is a junior. He led our defense while playing center back. James was a consistent presence on defense, stopping offensive threats. On the season, our defense only allowed 13 goals to be scored, and we gave up only 2 goals 1 time this season. James was a big reason for that. James was also a big factor in some of our offensive play on our corner kicks and our free kicks, where he scored 6 goals from the center back position. Not normal, but just illustrates how valuable he was to our team. And because of this, because of his contributions to our success, he was recognized with his selection as a first-team Berkshire League All-Star. So, ladies and gentlemen, James Kirsten. Next, junior Drew Koenig. Drew is a midfielder. Drew is an extremely versatile player. He scored 20 goals this year and recorded 21 assists. He helped control the midfield, and he set the tone both offensively and defensively. And due in large part to his contributions, the team tallied 102 goals this season, which, for those of you who aren't soccer players, that's a lot. And Drew is a junior, and this is his 2nd year in a row as a Berkshire League All-Star. So, ladies and gentlemen, Drew Koenig. Our last soccer All-Star is our senior, Rocco Smith. Rocco played striker for us, and he scored 44 goals on the season. Not only did he lead the league in scoring this year, but he set just a few records along the way. This season, he became Chapag's career scoring leader, breaking a record that had been set back in 1986. And this year, he also became the all-time leading Berkshire League scorer, breaking a record that was set 4 years ago in 2020. He finished his Chapag career with 104 goals. Rocco was both a first-team Berkshire League All-Star and first-team All-State in both his junior and senior years, and in the Class S state championship game, he was the most valuable player. So, ladies and gentlemen, Rocco Smith. Thank you, guys. Now I would like to call up our field hockey All-Stars. So just like golf, we have one of our field hockey All-Stars is at ice hockey practice. I will talk about her first. We'll talk about Claire Moore. On the season, Claire Moore scored 15 goals. Claire had 8 assists. She had 5 defensive saves. Claire scored the game-winning goal in sudden death overtime in Stonington in the CIAC quarterfinal round. And she also scored the game-winning goal against number 1 defending Class M state champions Daniel Hand with 43 seconds left to play in the state finals in the state semifinals, and Daniel Hand, which catapulted us into the championship game. She was first team All-State, and she was a Berkshire League All-Star. So in her absence, please join me in congratulating Claire Moore. Now for the two ladies right next to me here, Lily Bialak. Lily. Lily is a junior. This year, Lily had 13 goals. Lily had 7 assists. Lily was second team All-State this year. She scored the sudden death overtime game-winning goal in the championship game of the first ever Berkshire League field hockey tournament in an extremely, extremely exciting game against Watertown at Nonawag High School. And down 1-0 in a game in the semifinals against the number 1 ranked Daniel Hand, Lily scored on a penalty stroke, tying the game at 1-1, and obviously we went on to win it. Large part due to Lily's efforts, and Lily was also a first-team Berkshire League All-Star this year. So congratulations to Lily. And now we go to our last All-Star for the season, Miss Juliet Eddy. Juliet is a senior who scored 8 goals this year. She had 10 assists. She scored the only goal in regulation during the Berkshire League Field Hockey Tournament Championship game that I just mentioned against Watertown at Nonawag. We eventually won that in overtime. Coach Moore stated that Juliet possesses incredible speed and displayed great composure on the field at all times this season. It was a major factor in all of our successes. Juliet was a first-team Berkshire League All-Star this year. So please join me in congratulating Juliet Eddy. Thank you, Yuto. Would now like to talk about the seasons, or really the tournament runs that we had for our 2 state championship teams. The Chapag Spartan field hockey and boys soccer teams capped off seasons to remember with a pair of CIAC Class S state championships last month. The field hockey championship was the 3rd overall for a Chapag field hockey team, and the first since the Spartans won back-to-back titles in 2001 and 2002. The soccer team state title was the first since Washington High School won the 1965 state championship. And it capped off a special and an unprecedented weekend for Chapag athletics. After winning the championship, each team was treated to a special bus ride home. A police convoy met the bus as it exited Route 84 in Southbury, where they were escorted to the Roxbury town line and passed off to Roxbury emergency vehicles, who did the same through Roxbury and to the Washington town line. Washington took over from there, bringing the teams into the center of town for a short parade before leading them back to Chapag, where they were met by friends and family. The field hockey team won the Berkshire League regular season title for the 2nd consecutive year and also won the inaugural Berkshire League Tournament Championship. Ranked number 12 in the CIAC Class S field hockey tournament, Chapag went on the road to Danbury to face number 5 Immaculate and avenged an earlier regular season loss to the Mustangs by winning that tournament game 5-3. After that, the team took the extremely long bus ride to Stonington High School for the quarterfinal round, where they upset the number 4 ranked Stonington Bears 2-1 in sudden death overtime. That win earned them a trip to the semifinals, where they traveled to Cheshire High School to face the number 1 ranked Daniel Hand Tigers, who were the defending 2023 Class M state championship. It was a very exciting game. Chapag broke a 1-1 tie with 43 seconds left in the game to take a 2-1 lead and secure the upset victory and the trip to the state championship. In the championship game, held in front of a large crowd of spectators that included many Chapag students, families, Region 12 community members, and Chapag alumni from many generations, Chapag faced number 2 ranked Sacred Heart Academy Sharks from Hamden. In a nail-biting and nerve-wracking contest, Chapag scored a first half goal to take a 1-0 lead, which was a score that held for the entire game. As the clock expired, the celebration ensued, and the Spartans were crowned CIAC state champion. And now to say a few words, I would like to introduce, well, first I want to introduce both of our field hockey coaches, even though only one is here. I want to introduce them both. Owen Moore, who's here to speak, and I have to mention Coach Hurls, Heather Hurley. So Owen.
I just want to say Stints and I have bets on who will cry first, so I'm hoping it's him. But good evening. Before I say a few words about our spectacular season, I'd like to thank the Board of Education for recognizing the first team Berkshire League All-Stars and the state championship teams this evening. The community support this season has meant the world to my team, myself, and all the athletes in attendance. I'd also like to thank my incredible assistant coach, Heather Hurley, who unfortunately isn't here, for her unwavering support, enthusiasm, and dedication. We really couldn't have done this without her. I don't even know where to begin when talking about this season, other than this team was a true family. The bond between each one of these players is something truly special. You could see this connection every time they stepped out on the field, and it was a true joy to watch. In August, when we met in Group Room West to map out what we wanted this season to look like, many common goals written were repeat as Berkshire League champions, have a deep state tournament run, or win the state championship. The team set these goals and forgot them, taking each opponent in challenge and stride, always preparing the same. The way that this team was able to raise the standard every day at practice and hold each other accountable is a major reason why they found success this year. They were never satisfied with their performance, always working to get that much better. They dedicated themselves to watching film and dissecting their play, even if that meant getting uncomfortable. After a heartbreaking first-round loss to Stafford last year, this group knew how precious postseason play was. Each tournament game, they continued to fight for one more game, one more practice, one more chance to be together as a team. That was evident out on the pitch, never backing down even when we were trailing. They were able to be mentally tough, poised and composed, lifting us past our opponents. For young women, the way they carry themselves on the field and uplift one another is truly applaudable, which is also why they were awarded the Ted Alex Sportsmanship Award this season, a true testament to their character as players and people. The life and legacy of Chapag field hockey is like no other. Field hockey has been played in Washington for over 60 years, since Joan Gauthier pioneered the program in the late 50s. The standard of excellence was set early with 17 Berkshire League titles and 2 state championships. This group brought that standard back to the program, adding yet another state title and Berkshire League championship to the ledger. I'm so beyond proud of them for their never-ending heart, hustle, and pride to be a part of such a special community that is Chapag. There really is no other place like Region 12, which is evident by the alumni, community members, families, and future Spartans that came together to celebrate our teams and athletes with a state championship welcome home, which will never be forgotten. I look forward to a future of success here at Chapag, because you all have proven how bright the future of our athletics is, forever etching yourselves as part of history. Thank you, and congratulations to all in attendance this evening.
Thank you, Owen. Now to talk about boys soccer. The boys soccer team won the Berkshire League regular season title for the second year in a row, and they also won the Berkshire League tournament championship for the second consecutive year. Ranked number 1, Chapag drew a first-round bye and was set to play the winner of the number 17 Innovation versus the number 16 St. Paul first-round game. After beating Innovation, the St. Paul Falcons traveled to Washington for a second-round game, where the Spartans were victorious with a 3-1 score. In the quarterfinal round, number 25 ranked Immaculate traveled to Chicago, where the Spartans outlasted the Mustangs and secured a very hard-fought 2-1 victory to send Chicago into the semifinal round. In the semifinals, Chicago traveled to Newtown High School to face the number 4 ranked Morgan School Huskies. In a very physical and fiercely contested battle, Chicago emerged victorious, posting a 3-1 win that sent the Spartans into their second consecutive CIAC Class S state championship game. In the state championship, Chicago faced a familiar foe, number 7 ranked Northwestern Highlanders, a fellow Berkshire League school and the only team to give Chicago a loss this year, beating them in a regular season contest in Winsted earlier in the season. In front of a large crowd of Chicago faithful at Trinity Health Stadium in Hartford, the Spartans made it clear early that this was to be their day, striking early by tallying 3 goals in the first half on their way to a dominating 4-0 performance that saw them crowned as CIAC Class S state champions. And now to say a few words, I would like to call upon our state championship boys soccer coaches, Jim Stinson and Dave Fluke.
No, I'm not going to cry. All right. Thank you for having us here tonight. It was a very special season and one which I will remember fondly. Thank you to Coach Fluke for all that he does to help lead this program. As I thought about what to say tonight, highlight after highlight from the season scrolled through my head. Do I talk about winning the treble, which for those who are not soccer fans, that's 3 championships? All right. Do I talk about the Morgan game in the semifinals and Bill? Or do I talk about the amazing bus ride home when Region 12 showed out and gave us a triumph? I could be up here for a while, listing all of the many individual awards that these guys accomplished, all of which are well-deserved. But to me and to these incredible young men, it has always been about the team. So, as a team, we scored 103 goals while only allowing 13. We rose to every challenge and played defense all over the field, allowing only once in 22 games to let an opponent score 2. We made that up in Hartford. Most importantly, we learned to believe in ourselves, in the value of hard work, and the value of community support. We learned that anything is possible if you believe in what you are doing. We learned that earning a state title that was 59 years in the making is a wonderful accomplishment that is shared by not only by the current team, but by the generation of players and families who have come before, as well as the Spartan faithful who always show up. Finally, we learned that nothing worth having is ever easy, and we thank our families for all the sacrifices they made to allow us to achieve this. I think I can speak for them when I say we are already looking forward to defending these titles next fall. Thank you, and let's go Spartans.
I just want to take this one last opportunity to congratulate all of our fall All-State and All-Star athletes and congratulate the coaches and the teams of both of our state championship teams. And I want to thank the Board of Ed for recognizing all of us tonight. So thank you.
Well, I think we have a lot of extra cookies unless some didn't eat them all yet. So we're going to take a quick break to just congratulate you all. But I just also want to say that you all make us so proud on and off the field. You're such joy to watch play that we've had the honor of being able to see you all. We also have the joy of knowing you off too, and you couldn't make us more proud. So congratulations and thank you so much. So let's enjoy the cookies. I'm told to use the gavel. Should I do it this way? It's a little fun. I'm not gonna lie. It was a little fun. Okay. So now, Dr. Rodriguez, are you gonna? Yep. To Region 12 Schools Security Team.
Good evening. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I thought it was timely and appropriate to bring forward our ASOs, our armed security officers at the elementary schools, and to introduce them in person, especially since many of you may not have elementary students or haven't been to an elementary school lately. I wanted you to meet them in person. And I know when I first introduced them on paper, of course, in August, I highlighted the fact that each one of our ASOs had worked previously in settings with students and families and within large communities. Their extensive training as officers and their own expertise in working with students and communities are the reason we made the choices we did. Our local troopers, our SRO, Mike Epps, also Officer Ian Ammo, were a major part of the hiring process, and I want to thank them for that, as I mentioned at one of our earlier board meetings. So I'm going to have them come up here. Hired for Burnham School in Bridgewater, Robert Saucier was a Waterbury police officer. Aside from the typical training as an officer, he worked closely with the youth division, school administrators, and juvenile court to assist families with service needs. On his own, he has worked extensively with children for years as a coach. You're in good company tonight here. Through the Pomperaug Youth Football. So we're glad to have Robert. Thank you. Now, although he's not here this evening at Booth Free School in Roxbury, we have Tim Berry, who was the captain of the Greenwich Police Department. He also served as the commander of the school resource program during his tenure and understands the dynamics of security in school settings. He has an outstanding service record and reputation, and we were very happy to get him here with us in Region 12. So thank you to Tim Berry. And currently at Washington Primary School, Joe Kelly was instrumental for years as a detective in the Waterbury Youth Division. He worked closely at the school level with staff and administrators, specifically working with at-risk youth. If you stop by WPS on any given morning after drop-off, you will see Joe with a group of elementary students raising the American flag outside. Thank you. You can feel, I will tell you, the enthusiasm for our officers by students, many of whom high-five them in the morning or stop by to have a morning or afternoon discussion, are from all of our parents who have provided really positive feedback about how our officers have become a part of the fabric of each of their school communities. And just to be clear, all of the officers bring so much to our district and were chosen specifically because of their training, their work experience, and knowledge of school environments, school safety, and security measures. We're so lucky. All of our officers understand emergency operations, de-escalation of conflicts, or of handling crisis situations, as well as all of the security measures involving visitor management to our schools. Just this morning, my administrators were sharing their own stories, their own anecdotes about how all of our officers at the elementary level, including security personnel, Andrew at Chippewa, have transformed their campuses this year. The confidence level and feeling of safety across the district, providing a higher level of integrity and diligence to security matters, in particularly addressing visitors on the property, supporting school drills, and the daily and ongoing security of our facilities. So I know we made the right choice, and I'm really proud of all of you, so thank you. And for the record, Mike Epps, our school resource officer, has been a wonderful partner in helping and supporting the training and the hiring of our ASOs, which in the end provided a viable security team to support the students, staff, and families here in Region 12, and also making his job a lot easier as well. So come on up, and I know you want to say a few words as well.
And actually, yes, you did shorten up my few words that I had to say. Good evening, BOE. It is indeed a pleasure to be here, and especially, I just have to say a few words about our student athletes. I think that's fantastic. I think being a student is tough, and I think being an athlete is tough. But being a student athlete is really a test to their fortitude. So congratulations to all those young people. I think they did a great job. Um, from the time I started in 2022, Region 12 has always maintained an upbeat attitude and positive approach to safety and security. Um, as Superintendent Rodriguez alluded to, our security team was fantastic. But now we jump to the beginning of this academic year. Superintendent Rodriguez and Region 12 took a huge step forward in regards to safety and security, providing each elementary school with their own dedicated security professional. 3 full-time armed security officers were hired. Our 3 ASOs are all retired law enforcement professionals that come to this district with a wealth of experience and knowledge in safety and security. The 3 ASOs were immediately trained to become certified ALICE instructors for Region 12 and participated in a district-wide ALICE training held over here at SPS this past August. ALICE is Region 12's response program to an active shooter or violent critical incident. The ASOs will assist with screening of visitors, provide frontline safety and security for each elementary school while conducting frequent building and perimeter checks. With the addition of our armed security officers, amendments need to be made to our current Region 12 all hazard school security and safety plans. Every year, the state of Connecticut requires the school districts to submit a copy of the security and safety plans. Some years, the state will issue the district's updates that need to be reflected in their individual plans. Dr. Rodriguez and myself worked on making amendments to our plan to incorporate the newest members of our team, and we will be submitting those plans to the state. As the SRO, I will continue to work with the elementary school students on the Halloween safety and stranger danger presentation. I will conduct the Spartan program with our 5th graders, which was created by Officer Naimo over there. So when I came in, I took over for that, and it's a great program. Spartan is an interactive program where the students, teachers, myself have discussions about alcohol, drugs, legal and illegal, and their effects on the human body, especially a young person's brain and body. Every 5th grader is presented with a certificate of achievement at the completion of the Spartan program. So I'd just like to conclude, I speak on behalf of our Region 12 security professionals when I say we are honored to safeguard this district. Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much for coming. We feel so fortunate to have such an amazing team. So thank you. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Does anybody want to take anything off the consent agenda? Okay. Moving on. Reports and recognitions. That would be me. Start. Just a few things that I just wanted to take notice of the last couple of weeks. First of all, I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. It's hard to believe that we're officially into the holiday season. I want to say a few things. I was fortunate enough to go to the football game on Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. I was able to spend a little quality time with my son to go to a football game, which was fantastic. I saw Lori and some other people there. And it just, again, reminds me of the sense of spirit on and off the field that we have with all of our student athletes. But just so much more than that, it's about people coming to support too, right? The young and the old and everyone in between. So even though it was a tough loss, there was a lot of spirit on and off the field. So I really appreciated that, which was fantastic. I also want to say that we have selected a superintendent consulting firm. We have chosen NASDAQ's Christine Sayak, and we're looking forward to working with her. So that's exciting. We'll be moving forward. She will be reaching out with the timeline, and we will obviously be working diligently for that for the next several months. And then the other thing that I just want to observe is that I had an opportunity to be at the senior Thanksgiving luncheon at Washington Primary School last week on Monday. And it's really just an amazing event that I know that all three towns have. I was just fortunate enough to be at the Washington Primary School event, and we had a large number. I think it was one of the largest ones, Stephanie, that we had had. Like 70 people attended, and it's just again one of those constantly just brings it back to community, where it's about the teachers, the staff, the students, and the community as a whole being able to feed our seniors and celebrate Thanksgiving. So it just really just always warms my heart to do those events. So thank you to everybody who was involved. And that's it for me. Lord.
Okay, we have a lot going on before the next holiday break, including preparing for the holiday bazaar coming up this week, which is scheduled for Thursday, December the 5th. I just want to say, we are reviewing the weather, potential snow Wednesday into Thursday. And I just wanted to say publicly, if we did have to call a delay for Thursday, we can most likely, and I checked with John Shells, the principal, work around that and still get in the bazaar unless it's a cancellation. And then there is a snow day, and I believe that snow day is Friday, December the 6th. So the next day, the following day. We hope, fingers crossed, we don't have to do any of that. But too early to call right now, but just stay tuned. In personnel, we've had some appointments. Hector Andujar, custodian, second shift at SVS. Michael Correa, custodian, second shift at SVS. Shanice Rolls, kindergarten teacher, a one-year position at WPS. And then a transfer of Caitlin Kuzmiers, grade 2 long-term substitute teacher at WPS from a literacy tutor in the same school. That's all I have this evening.
Treasurer's report. Alex.
I'm going to combine my treasury report in with my F&O committee report. We just had our F&O meeting before this meeting. Once I got, Nicole went through the numbers, and once I got figured out that I was looking at last year's numbers, everything seems to be quite right on target. We now are running, as of the end of the month, at 19.48% of our funds still unused. Last year at this time, it was 21.86%. For some good news, the encumbrances from last year have been reduced down to about 45,000. And because of that, the surplus for last year has gone up to 95,000. So we didn't spend all our money last year. We discussed the agri-science, and the state has changed the rules a little bit. They are paying more of the tuition for the kids, and the towns are paying less. But on balance, we're going to come out about the same. But this should make the towns very happy. We discussed the REACH program, and we'll be coming back to you next meeting probably with some thoughts on that. And because of a lack of time, we had a brief discussion of capital expenditures, but once again, that will need to be, we may have to have a special F&O meeting to get finished up on some of this. We had a very full agenda today. And that is it, unless anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Committee reports. Agri-Science Committee, Mary.
We haven't had a meeting since the last meeting, but our next meeting is next Monday. And note if you're coming, it is at 5 o'clock.
Thank you. Curriculum.
Nothing new. Our next meeting is
Ed Advance.
Nothing new to report. Our next meeting is January 2nd.
We did finance, so thank you, Alex. Labor negotiations, Greg.
I'm pleased to report that we've reached a tentative agreement with the custodians. We had been heading for arbitration. That's now going to go to an agreement We expect to be reviewing it. The committee will review it this Wednesday and probably sign off on it. And then we'll have a contract and eventually we'll bring it to the board. So that's where we are. And as far as the administrators union, we have our second meeting with them on Wednesday.
Great, thank you. Policy, Justin?
Nothing new. Our next meeting is scheduled for next Monday, the 9th.
Thank you. Strategic, long-range planning, nothing to report right now. I think ours is. That's okay. We can move on from that. New business, Chippewa Valley School Schedule Modification, Mr. Shep, Dr. Shep, excuse me.
Thank you so much and good evening. We have an opportunity to simplify our schedule, make it work better for our school. As you know, we're running a block and every day we run either periods 1 through 4 or 5 through 8, but they're tied to the days of the week right now. And that was a necessity in order to service our students who are enrolled at Ed Advance. Ed Advance is a very good partner and we've had discussions with them about our schedule and how to simplify it, how to maximize its benefit for all our students. And based upon, and this is a pilot, we have few students enrolled. We knew that would happen. We think that'll grow over time. But between that, we have 2 students enrolled right now. And Ed Advance's flexibility, when we asked them, they've agreed to accommodate us so that we could run just what you'd expect and hope most high schools run and middle schools in a block, which is classes meet every other day. So that would just repeat over and over again, 1 through 4, 5 through 8, without being tied to the days of the week. And teachers and students report that they would rather not have some of those gaps that happen between class meetings when it's tied to the days of the week. So this is not a very big jump in terms of the nature of the schedule at all. It's a slight modification, but I think it'll be good because it'll result in more regular contact time for students here at Chippewa and won't hurt our Ed Advance students at all, thanks to the largesse of Ed Advance. So I just wanted to let the board know the reasoning for that and why we think it would be good.
Could I just clarify, just in case you don't know, the Ed Advance was that Career Accelerator pilot program. So it was very new this year.
I'm sorry, I should have said.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure everybody remembered that.
Any questions?
Thank you so much for your consideration and have a nice evening.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Okay, next up, discussion regarding refurbishing of the soccer field to turf and potential fundraising. Matt Garachi.
Thank you. I'm calling up 3 other people who have worked with me to get our really loose committee to the point where we're at right now. So number one, thank you for having us here. There's a group of Region 12 community members, and you're looking at them right here. You guys know Owen Moore is a Chippewa graduate. He is our field hockey coach, and he's a Region 12 resident. Next is Jay Stewart. She was our longtime field hockey coach and PE teacher, retired. We kind of mentioned her earlier today. We talked about winning back-to-back state championships when her team went to 4 state championship games in a row from 99 to 2002. Do I have the years right, Jay? Winning the last 2 of those. And Chris Evans, he has 4 children in here at Chippewa, and he's very invested. We have met numerous times, and the reason we are here in front of you right now is we would like to ask the board permission for us to conduct a fundraising campaign where we are going to solicit private funds to build turf fields, and I'm saying that with an S on the end of it, because that's our ultimate goal here at Chippewa. Now, obviously, we need to do this first because we don't want to come to you, a year from now and say, we got X amount of dollars, we're pulling the bulldozers up and we're going to start tearing things up without having your permission to do this first. Pending approval to begin such a campaign, we are in the process of trying to open a 501c3 to be able to accept these donations. Now, you guys all have the packet that I have. Okay. All right. So we're both looking at the same thing. here. There's a packet that was in your materials. I think you got it printed out. I can see Alex holding it there. We met with a company, and I'll go back. Before we even talked with the company, I talked with Nicole and former Superintendent Gosselin, and they knew what our idea was. It was just really loosely an idea. And it was really to have a company come here and take a look and give us an estimate. What would it cost to put turf on the middle of the field inside the track? And not that this is really part of what we are looking to do as far as turfing the fields, but to do that project and to not redo the 15-year-old track makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So we got the estimate to redo that field, and as you can see, it's between 1.8 and 2.1 million. That was in November 2023. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the cost hasn't gone down since then. I'm going to guess that it's either the same or probably up. And in addition, if we were going to convert the varsity field hockey field to turf, we got a little bit of a later estimate from them for that. That was January of this year, so not quite a year old. It was between 1.7 and 1.9 million to do that. So altogether, if we were able to raise $5 million, in theory, we'd be able to do this. I've put a list here of just some of the towns near us that have artificial turf fields. By no means is this a complete list, but just wanted to illustrate that, you know, if I were to have come to you 15, 20 years ago, there wouldn't be a lot of schools that had this. Not now. I mean, it really is becoming, it's the standard. You know, we have one in town here with Frederick Gunn School. I'm not going to read every single school in this list. There's multiple schools in this list that have more than one turf field. I put the two that I know. I know New Milford, I know New Fairfield, I know Brookfield. They all have them. It's interesting to see here that every one of our sending towns for the agri-science program, they have at least one, if not two or more turf fields at their school. Just want to talk a little bit about our journey this year. During the CIAC tournament, the Chappaqua field hockey team did not play a game on natural grass. Every single game was played on artificial turf. And even more than that, we played on, I don't remember what the exact date of the championship game was, but after October 31st, the end of our regular season, they didn't even set foot on our field again. We had scrimmages at Joel Barlow, Pomperog. We practiced at Watertown. We practiced at New Milford. I mean, really, the industry standard now for field hockey is you play on turf. You two can correct me if I'm wrong, but is there a college that plays on grass that you know of? Yeah. I mean, every single field hockey program I've ever seen in college plays on artificial turf. Let's see. During the state tournament, boys soccer, we played our first two games here, so obviously that was on grass. But once you got to the semifinals, it's on turf. And once we got there, we had 4 practices. We went to New Milford twice. We went to Brookfield twice. I don't know if you follow our social media. We did a big thank you to these schools. These schools were really generous with us, fitting us in and letting us use their facility. But if we wanted to really prepare these teams as well as we possibly could prepare them, we had to practice on turf. They would have been at a massive disadvantage had they not done that. You know, what we want to do is provide our soccer and field hockey teams with the same quality experience that other schools are giving to their kids. I can tell you, and I'm sure Owen would back me up, when we're scheduling non-league games, particularly in field hockey, if you tell other schools, oh, well, we have natural grass field, sometimes it's hard to get good teams to come here. And if you look at what his schedule was this year, I mean, we played Brookfield, we played Newtown, we played Avon, we played Weston. I'm missing someone, but those are all field hockey powerhouses. And, you know, we lost a handful, not a handful, but we lost a few of those. And we knew that we would lose a few of those games, but we wanted to be battle tested and ready for the Class S tournament. So we wanted to go play real fast turf teams. It's going to be increasingly hard to get those teams to come to us with the surface that we have. just another thing, this year was particularly dry, but in a typical fall season, we have a rainy day. Not only does it cancel field hockey or soccer on the day that it rains, sometimes it cancels it the next day, and sometimes it cancels it 2 or 3 days later because the fields get saturated. And when you have turf, you don't have to worry about that. If we were to be able to do that, it would not just be for field hockey and soccer. All of our PE classes would use it. It would not just be for Chippewa. I'm sure, I'm sure Joe would be looking to have the Chippewa Soccer Club up here using it, and they should be able to if we were able to do that. So what we are looking for is for you guys to give us the green light to go ahead and start raising money. So if we are able to raise enough, we could do these projects here. And am I missing anything? I wanted to make sure, I didn't want to, you guys came, but at least be recognized and give the opportunity to talk. Is there any questions on anything that I just said? I don't know what the next step would be. Go ahead, Mary.
I have just a couple of questions. Is it safer on the artificial turf?
So there are a bazillion studies out there. I could share with you studies. You can find studies that will say, yes, it is safer. You can find studies that say, NFL football players, 350-pound football players seem to suffer some more injuries on turf than they do on grass, but we're not having 350-pound NFL players here. There's plenty of research to support the safety of turf, but you can also find research that says, there are some injuries on it too. But I could give you right now 4 kids that tore their ACL on our grass field in the last 3 or 4 years. So there's an assumption of risk when you play. Our kids, our field hockey kids, you play all summer on turf, right? And they play all the time. Everyone on college plays on turf now. Our football guys, they play and they practice on turf at Nonawag. So I don't know if I answered your question there.
Yeah, well, as best as you could.
Okay.
The other thing I want to know was, when we do this, will the community still be able to use the track?
Sure.
Will that be
Sure.
that'll be still open?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. If you ever go to, I'll bring the example because my kids played a lot of youth sports there. Go to New Fairfield, where they have 2. They may have 3. They have 3 now. They have a practice field behind, I think they have 3 turf fields there. But anyways, the main one is inside the track. If you go there, there's people using the track all the time. Yeah, and I would think that we would probably see more people come up and just use the field, just practice. Obviously when there's not a game going on there, you'd see families and people kicking the soccer ball around on the field. You see that a lot in places that have.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't want to take the words out of Chris's mouth, but ultimately the goal is for this to be an investment for the community.
How long does a AstroTurf last?
So I think it's 10 to 15 years before the surface has to be replaced.
And is it just like a carpet that you pick up and replace, or is it more involved?
Well, it's more involved now. What they have now, the old-fashioned AstroTurf,
Right.
which they put in the Astrodome back in the 60s, was basically a green rug that they put on top of concrete. Now there's individual fibers that are made to mimic grass, and there's infill in there that keeps it upright. There is grooming that's involved. There's machines that schools have because you can get a collection of the infill, those pellets all in front of the goal where everyone's always standing, and they need to spread those out and evenly distribute them. But the maintenance, you will see in the literature, the maintenance costs go way down. But you do have to replace the surface. But again, I've never done a turf project. I'm talking based on what I know from having been an athletic director for a long time and seeing other people go through it. You would replace the top surface. Once all that prep work is done, if it costs, what do I have here? 1.7 to 1.9 to do the field hockey field. It's a fraction of that to resurface it. I mean, you wouldn't be paying that again 10 or 15 years. It's just a portion.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, this is kind of an exciting project because we looked into this about 10 years ago. The facility, when I chaired the facilities committee, we spent a lot of time on this because we had a donor who was willing to give, at the time, $2 million to turf field below.
He's still around?
Well, it actually fell on hard times because he wanted it lit too, and the Washington doesn't permit lights taller than 25 feet. You need 80-foot lights to light a field like that. So it foundered on that, but we got a lot of information about it. Don O'Leary did a lot of research, and you talk about injuries and things, but you have to, it's not comparing the turf field to the perfect grass field. You're comparing it to what you've got.
Right.
If a grass field is rock hard, compacted, it can be like the old AstroTurf on top of concrete.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of complexities, but there are also complexities to how the drainage and other things have to be done. And we've got I think some helpful information, and it might be worth your time, and it might jumpstart the project and move it along faster for this to go to the facilities and the operations committee, so we can bring you up to speed on what we've got. You can explain to us what you've got. We can look at the total proposal and make sure that we've thought of everything, so it doesn't get, you don't go out and spend the time raising the money and then have something founder later on, because we've just done a big construction project. So we have a sense of these things, and we'd like to help. I'd like to see this happen. I really would like to see it be made a reality.
I mean, hey, we're at the mercy of the board here. We will, if you guys are on the same page as us and are interested in making this happen, we'll dot every I and cross every T and do whatever it takes to make this happen. We need to go out passing a hat around, a really big, gigantic hat, before this even becomes remotely realistic. But yeah, I mean, whatever resources we can tap into, we'd be happy to do that.
Well, I think we discussed that we're not going to vote on this tonight, but we will maybe bring it up at our next meeting, because I feel like we might as well take this time to really move forward, because we all, at least I think that this is a really wonderful idea. I think the idea of grass, even in the perfect field, can create a lot of injuries. I know that there's one school that I can think of, College School of Wheaton, actually has the only grass field, and that was where they had the most injuries in one game. So I would argue that turf would be a more exciting and safer, because when you're used to playing on that, that's what you get familiar with. So, and it slows the ball down, which is no fun to watch. So,
you been to any soccer games?
No, not really. But so I think what we can do is have a conversation. I think, Greg, your idea, which I'm thrilled that you're enthusiastic about this, is that we can go to F&O and talk about it a little bit too. And then we can bring it to our next board meeting, and hopefully
let us know what you need for us to do, and we'll be there.
We're excited.
Awesome.
Nicole?
So I don't think our next scheduled F&O committee meeting is until January 27th.
So we'll have a special meeting next week, maybe? Because we have a 16th is our next meeting. We do have a no, we need that. Joe?
Are you waiting for our decision to start the 501c3?
Well, I mean, that's ongoing right now. I mean, we haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. I mean, as anyone, also, one of the things that relates to that question, if anyone's got experience in any of this, would like to lend us some expertise. I mean, we've never done this before, and we will take any help or advice we can get. We just want to get going on this, Joe, and obviously, it doesn't make any sense to start soliciting donations if this group here were to say we're opposed to it. Even if you come up with the $5 million, we're not letting you build this here, because obviously this would become, a Region 12 project. It wouldn't just be 3 people trying to do this.
Yeah.
Project. And we want to get your blessing before we substantially move forward.
We'll try and expedite a meeting to discuss it. I mean, it was up to me right now, I'd say yes. But
Yeah.
It's not up to just me. So.
Can it be up to Joe?
Please.
It's not on the agenda as an action item, so we can't. Yeah.
Yeah, can we make a motion to put it on the agenda?
I would hesitate to vote on it tonight. I think F and O would like to look at it and look at all the ramifications.
I would like to be able to put it on as an action item for December 16th.
Yeah.
So that's really important. So we'll figure out a way to do that before the 16th so that we can come together and make that decision on the 16th. We'll vote on the 16th and we'll figure out a way to make.
All right,
Our
I'll communicate with Lori and see
Yeah.
what you need
Yeah.
out of us. Let us know.
Yeah.
If what I provided with you guys, this
Yeah,
document
no,
that you
it's
have
great.
is sufficient.
Yeah,
Let
we're
us know.
very excited about this. So thank
Awesome.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Exciting. Good stuff. Really exciting. Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn? 8:15. All right. Have a good night.